Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Gaur Pimanandi Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa Pari Vrajagachaja Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charan Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Skandibiti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Nirantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanande all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuranmiritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jita Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Sahagana Lalitam Sri Visakanditam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Isabhanu Sisidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam namaskritya
Narayanam namaskritya
Ram chaiva narottamam
Naram chaiva narottamam
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam
Devim saraswatim vyasam
Tato Jaya
Tato
Mudiraya.
jaya mudiraye.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesa badreshu
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam bhagavata sevaya
Bhagavati Tamashloke
Bhagavate uttama shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and a loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam
Idam
Nama
bhagavata nama
Puranam Brahma Samitam
Purana Brahma Samhitam
Uttama Shloka Charitam
Uttama Shlokya Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nisreyasayo Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasthaya Namaha.
Dhanyam Sasayanam Maha.
The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhar
Shri Advaita Gadadhar
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukham karoti vatanam tvangum nagayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing chapter 9, the passing away of Vishnu. Which is chapter 9. Yes. Today is 29, correct?
Yes.
29, yes. Dharmam
Dharmam
pravadatas
Pravadatas
tasya
Tasya
sa
Sa
kalah
Kalaha
pratyupastitah
Pratyupastitah
yo
Yo
yoginash
Yoginas
chanda
Chanda
Dhrityor
Nityor
vanchitas
Vanchitas
tutarayanah
Tutarayanaha
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Dharmam Pravadatasya
Sakala pratyupastitaha
Sakala
yo yoginas chandra mrityor
Ya yogina chandra mrityor
vanchitas tuttarayanaha
Vanchitastu tirayanaha
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Dharmam pravadatastasya
sakala pratyupastitaha
Sakala pratyupastitaha
yo yoginas chandra mrityor
Ya yogina chandra mrityor
vanchitas tuttarayanaha
Vanchitastu tirayanaha
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Dharmam pravadatastasya
sakala pratyupastitaha
Sakala pratyupastitaha
yo yoginas chandamrityor
Ya yogina chandra mrityor
vanchitas tuttarayanaha
Vanchitastu tirayanaha Dharma pravadatastasya
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Sakala patyupastitaha
sakala pratyupastitaha
Ya yoginas chandra mityo
yo yoginas chandamrityor
Vanchitastu tirayanaha
vanchitas tuttarayanaha
Dharmam pravadatastasya
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Sakalaha pratyupastitaha
sakala pratyupastitaha
Yoginas chandra mitur
yo yoginas chandamrityor
Vanchitastu tarayanaha
vanchitas tuttarayanaha
Dharmam pravadatastasya
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Sakala pratyupastita Pratyupastitaha Yo yoginas chandra mrityor Ya yoginas chandra mrityor Vanchitas uttarayana Vanchitas uttarayana Dharma pravadastasya Dharma pravadastasya Sakala pratyuvastita
sakala pratyupastitaha
Yo yogina chanda mrityor
yo yoginas chandamrityor
Vanchitastu tarayana
vanchitas tuttarayanaha
Dharmam pravadastasya
dharmam pravadatas tasya
Sakala pratyupastitaha
sakala pratyupastitaha
yoginascha chanda
yoginas chandamrityor
mrityur vanchitastu tutrayanaha
vanchitas tuttarayanaha. Last but not least, may I? You may.
Dharmama pravadatastasya
Dharmam pravadatas tasya
sakala pratyupasthita
sakala pratyupastitaha
yo yoginas chanda mritur
yo yoginas chandamrityor
vanchitas tatura rayana
vanchitas tuttarayanaha. Dharmam occupational duties pravadataha while describing tasya his saha that kalaha time pratyupastitaha exactly appeared yaha that is yoginaha for the mystics chanda mrityoho of one who dies according to one's own selection of time. Vanchitaha is desired by two, but Uttarayanaha. The sun, the period when the sun runs on the northern horizon. So where is the sun rising now?
Dakshinayana. After Makar Sankranti, the sun goes to Uttarayana.
So my question is, where is the sun rising now?
Now, in the east.
Huh?
Eastern.
No. North, opposite north is not east. It's south,
In south. Yeah.
right? Sun is going in the southern direction.
Yes.
Yeah, Uttarayana means the sun going in the, that's north,
Yeah.
northern.
Yes.
Now sun is going this way,
Yes.
it's going south.
Now Dakshinayana.
Yes,
Yeah. Now Dakshinayana.
means if it's not going north, it's going south. And if it's going, yes. So there's only these two, yeah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
While Bhishma Dev was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will. Kind of repeat after me. While Bhishma Dev was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will. Purport. The perfect yogis or mystics can leave the material body at their own sweet will at a suitable time and go to a suitable planet desired by them. In the Bhagavad Gita 8:24, it is said that self-realized souls who have exactly identified themselves with the interest of the Supreme Lord can generally leave the material body during the time of the fire god's effulgence. And when the sun is in the northern horizon, and thus achieve the transcendental sky. In the Vedas, these times are considered auspicious for quitting the body, and they are taken advantage of by the expert mystics who have perfected the system. Perfection of yoga means attainment of such supermental states as to be able to leave the material body as desired. Yogis can also reach any planet within no time without a material vehicle. The yogis can reach the highest planetary system within a very short time, and this is impossible for the materialist. Even at attempting to reach the highest planet will take millions of years at a high speed of millions of miles per hour. This is a different science, and Bhishma Dev knew well how to utilize it. He was just waiting for the suitable moment to quit his material body. And the golden opportunity arrived when he was instructing his noble grandsons, the Pandavas. He thus prepared himself to quit his body before the exalted Lord Sri Krishna, the pious Pandavas, and the great sages headed by Bhagavan, Vyasa, etc. All great souls. Translation again. While Bhishma Dev was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will. Mystics who die at their will are quite rare, but as referred to here, there is a science, yogic science or mystic science, by which one can perform very unusual or extraordinary activities, including deciding when to leave the body. Of course, as devotees, we don't practice that, and nor is it possible in Kali Yuga to practice that, nor is it necessary, actually, for those who are engaged in performing devotional service or bhakti yoga. So generally, just like when we come in contact with Bhagavad Gita instructions as presented by bona fide Guru Parampara, then we very quickly lose interest in wanting to go to other planets, isn't it? Because we understand that from the highest to the lowest planet in the material world, all places are temporary, even though they may be for a long period of time. People in the heavenly planets, as we know, especially in Brahmaloka, they live for millions of years. But in previous times, especially when, especially those who were not aware of the process of pure devotional service, which even now actually, most people in India who practice yoga, or most people who are yogis, they know something about Krishna, but they don't understand the full, we could say, the full tattva of who is Krishna and the process of devotional service. And therefore, instead of, if they knew this, then they would take up the process which is recommended, of course, by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, of course, the question may be, well, why did Grandfather Vishnadev, who is a pure devotee, why he was waiting for that particular moment? Because he could leave any time. And he was not planning to go to any material planet. His goal was to return to the spiritual world.
You wait for Krishna.
Huh?
You wait for Krishna. You know Krishna will come.
Krishna was already there.
No, not
Krishna was right beside him.
to give knowledge on the world.
Huh?
To give knowledge about Dharma to onwards.
Yeah, there are various reasons. One of the reasons was that this auspicious moment, Uttarayana, was coming only after like 2 months.
Okay.
Because Battle of Kurukshetra took place in the month of December. Gita Jayanti. Gita Jayanti is
December.
sometime in December. It varies according to Tithi.
23rd of
December.
Almost
This year,
December.
or maybe this year, but it's not the 23rd of December every year.
According to the
Sometimes it's generally.
Last year it was.
Okay, last year, yeah. So, uh, so it changes. It's in the month of December. But what does not change is, you know, uh, which is, what is the date?
Makar Sankranti.
Yeah, which is what
14th
date?
of January. 14th of January.
Yes, generally it is
14 or 15.
14th or 15th,
Yeah.
isn't it? It varies only maybe one day. It's like fixed. So this coming, well, yeah. What date will it be in January? This 2015?
2000.
Next year is 2015, no? I mean,
2025.
2025, 2015, 2025. What date? January 2025. So there was a, yeah,
14 Jan.
14th, eh?
2025.
2025, yes.
Okay.
So, uh, and when is Gita Jayanti this year?
Okay.
So
This year or next year?
this year,
This
we have no interest to know at this time,
Gita Jayanti is 3rd December.
3rd December,
Okay, just one
20 days earlier than last year.
sorry, Guru Maharaj.
Oh,
24.
24th.
Just one minute.
Let's get this
It is
right.
11 December 2024. Wednesday. Gita Jayanti.
11th of December.
December, yeah.
Okay, 11th of December. So 13 days earlier, yeah. So how many days are there between December 11th, eh?
Huh?
11th?
December.
Yeah.
Advent of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. So how many days are there between the 11th of December and January 14th?
32.
Yeah, if you know a little bit of mathematics.
Days, almost 34 days.
Huh?
34 days.
34.
34 days. Yeah. 34.
34 days. So a little bit more than 1 month. So it may vary. So that means that, for example, um, yeah, that means that there's a period uh, of a little bit more than 1 month in which Grandfather Bhishmadev spoke. Because every day, this is described in the Bhagavatam and Mahabharata, every day the Pandavas, they would go by his side and they would spend hours hearing. And then they would return at night and they would come back again the next day. So, yes, that is one of the reasons. Also, um, although for a pure devotee, it doesn't matter when he will leave his body, because one who is fully, completely surrendered to Krishna, as Krishna explains, I take full charge. I give uh, full protection to my devotee. Means that Krishna, he personally, yeah, takes charge of those who are his devotees. Whereas one who is not practicing, then that completely uh, is in the hands of material nature. So naturally, even though one is a practicing devotee, um, one wants to live uh, in as most favorable condition as possible, um, and so that was um, possibly another reason for Grandfather Vishwadev choosing auspicious time to actually leave his body. So again, the word, it has been repeated many, many times. Dharma, the first line, of the text begins also with dharmam, that Prabhupada uh, translates as occupational duties. And that, of course, occupational duties is a major subject matter. Um, we have, we could say, spiritual occupational duties as well as material occupational duties. In this context, especially, um, Grandfather Bhishmadev was giving detailed information regarding material occupational duties, and specifically in the context of Yudhishthira Maharaj's occupational duties of a kshatriya, correct, of a leader. Yeah. So we can go actually to the next verse where it is very much in detail. Uh, actually, in the purport, Prabhupada is going into um, quite a bit of details in terms of what was spoken by Grandfather Bhishmadev. So text number 30. Tadopasamritya gira sahasranir vimukta sangam mana adi purushe Krishne la satpur bhuje purastite milita drig vyadharayat. Translation. Thereupon that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings and who fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men stopped speaking, and being completely free from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him, four-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and purport. In the momentous hour of leaving his material body, Bhishmadev set the glorious example concerning the important function of the human form of life. And the next line being in italics, which means Prabhupada giving stress, the subject matter which attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. Yes. Ante Narayana Smriti, therefore, it is enjoined. Therefore, if one is absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Lord, the Sri Krishna, he is sure to go back to Godhead without any doubt. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8 and and then, how is that? In your purport, you have number 5?
Yes.
So these are
Bhagavad
verses.
Gita.
Huh?
Bhagavad Gita verses.
It's a Bhagavad Gita verses.
Oh, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
8.5
Up to 15.
up to 15.
Okay, so,
Was given here translation of that verses.
right.
Antakali.
And has continued up to 15. Okay, 5. And whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Text 6. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. 7. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. 8. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, Arjuna, is sure to reach me. Actually, let me see here. 8. Yes. Actually, we should recite the Sanskrit also. So it begins actually, 8.5. Antakale chamam eva
Antakale cha mameva
smaran muktva kalevaram
smaran mukta kalevaram
ya prayati samadbhavam
ya prayati samadbhavam
yati nasyatra samshayaha.
yati samshaya.
And whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. 6. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
tajajante kalevaram
sajante kalevaram
tam tam ivaiti konteya
tam tam bhavati kaunteya
sada tad bhava bhavitaha.
sada tadbhava bhavita.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu
Tasmat sarveshu
mam manushmara yudhyacha
yam manusara
mayapito mayarpita mano buddhir
maya pita manor buddhir
mame vaishasya samshayaha.
mame vaishasya samshaya.
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Number 8. Abhyasa yoga yuktena
Abhyasa yoga yuktena
chetasa nanyagamina
cetasa nanagamina
paramam purusham divyam
paramam purusham divyam
yati parthanuchintayam.
yati parthanuchintaya.
He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, Arjuna, is sure to reach me. 9. Kavim Puranam Anushasit. Okay. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram
Kavim Puranam Anusasitanam
Anoraniyam Sam Anushmaridyaha
Anaryanasham Anusham Yedyaha
Sarvasya Dhataram Achintarupam
Sarvasya Dhataram Achintarupam
Adityavarnam Tamasa Parastat.
Adityavarnam Tamasa Parastat.
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything as he is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and being transcendental is beyond this material nature. And yes, Priyana Kale Manasa Chalena
प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन
Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva
भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव
Bhruvar Madhye Pranam Avesha Samyak
भुवान्मध्ये प्राणवेश सम्यक्
Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam.
सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्
One who at the time of death fixes his life hair between the eyebrows and in full devotion engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 11. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति
Vishanti Yadyatayo Vitaragaha
विशन्ति यद्यतो वितरागः
Yadishtanto Brahmacharyam Charanti
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति
Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshi.
तत्ते पदं सङ्ग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये
Persons learned in the Vedas who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. 12. Yes. Sarvadvarani samyamya
सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य
manodidi niruddhya cha
मनोहृदि निरुद्ध च
murdnyadhayat mana pranam
मनोनुदधमात्मनां
astito yoga dharanam.
अस्ति योगधारणम्
The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Ityekaksharam Brahma
ॐ इति अक्षरं ब्रह्म
Vyaharan Mam Anushmaram
व्यवहारमानुस्मरम्
Yad Prayati Tyajan Deham
यत्प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं
Sayati Paramam Gatim.
स याति परमं गतिम्
After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. 14. Ananya Cheta Satatam
अनन्यचेता सततं
Yomam Smarati Nityashaha
यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः
Tasyaham Sulabha Partha
तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ
Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha.
नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः
One who remembers me without deviation, for one who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. And the last one quoted by Srila Prabhupada, 15. Mam upetya punar janma
Mamepetya punarjanma
dukkalayam ashasvatam
Dukalayam ashashvatam
napnuvanti mahatmanaha
Napnuvanti mahatmana
samsiddhim paramam gataha.
Samsiddhim paramam gata.
Yes. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Yes. In the last paragraph of the purport, Sri Bhishmadev attained the perfection of quitting his body at will and was fortunate enough to have Lord Krishna, the object of his meditation, personally present at the time of death. He therefore fixed his open eyes upon him. He wanted to see Sri Krishna for a long time out of his spontaneous love for him. Because he was a pure devotee, he had very little to do with the detailed performance of yogic principles. Simple bhakti yoga is enough to bring about perfection. Therefore, the ardent desire of Bhishmadev was to see the person of Lord Krishna, the most lovable object, and by the grace of the Lord, Sri Bhishmadeva had this opportunity at the last stage of his breathing. So the many verses that are quoted here by Srila Prabhupada refer to the mystic process of leaving the body, but at the end, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how by the simple process of bhakti yoga, one can attain perfection. So the essence is to is to perfect our practice of bhakti, of devotional service, and of course it's all in Krishna's hands. But generally, at least in many cases, Krishna arranges. May not always be the case, but very often Krishna will arrange that one leaves his body in the presence of devotees, in the presence of hearing the holy name, which is, of course, more favorable or more helpful for remembering Krishna at the critical moment. So this is just summarized briefly. It is more elaborately given actually in Mahabharata, but the essence, of course, is given here. Yeah. So any questions on this? So therefore, the importance of reading these two books we were discussing earlier, if we actually want to understand about Bhakti Yoga, um, we need to hear. This is what um, personalities, especially like Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, they heard directly from Lord Chaitanya, as we know, specifically on this process or this science of bhakti or devotional service, which is as described in the Bhagavad Gita, as described in the Nectar of Devotion, very confidential subject matter, not so easily uh, understood. Um, it is within the reach of everyone, but one needs to uh, develop the proper mood and mentality for nicely applying the process of devotional service. Yes.
Nowadays, a pure devotee can do like Vishnu Dev or not?
You mean choose his time for leaving the body?
Yes.
This example of Grandfather Bhishmadev is, we know, in this example, he had received a special boon, isn't it? He has received a special, yeah. So, a, a, a pure devotee, uh, he is leaving everything actually in Krishna's hands. Uh, because that is actually the most critical moment of our lives. The most critical moment of living is when we have to leave this body. So that is a pure devotee, one who is not a pure devotee, like Prabhupada mentions in the previous verse and purport. There are people who are mystics who can leave their body, and just like, for example, we can decide to go from one place to another. Let's say on this planet. So uh, there are mystic processes by which one can leave their body and go to another place. Generally, that is not in the category of pure devotional service, because anyone who actually knows about pure devotional service, he has no interest to go to other places in the material world. His, of course, he's ready to go anywhere if Krishna so desires. Just like it is said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left earlier than he should have to go. At least that's what I heard. To go preaching, let's say, on the moon planet. So we don't. It is not so easy to know the innermost thoughts and plans, actually, of such elevated personalities. Those who are liberated souls, those who are on that topmost level, what they are thinking and um, their plans are not so easy to understand, because they are in direct touch and relationship, isn't it, with Krishna, and Krishna, who knows everything about everyone, will sometimes give some particular instruction. Okay, now it's time to we need your presence at this place, Uh, so a pure devotee is one who is totally surrendered to the will of Krishna, and just like in the case of Srila Prabhupada, in the last, we could say, months of his manifest pastime, he requested the devotees to uh, recite a particular prayer. What was that prayer? The prayer was not that, my dear Krishna, allow me to live for so many more months or so many more years. The Prabhupada formulated a simple prayer that was uh, as follows. I kind of, maybe not word for word, but the gist of that prayer was, oh my dear Lord, if you so desire, please allow Srila Prabhupada to continue living for a longer period, something to that effect. In other words, whatever we may desire is based on the desire and the sanction. If you so desire, please, that should be actually the mood and mentality of devotees, that we engage in activities, we try to preach and spread Krishna consciousness, understanding our total dependency actually on Krishna. So that is generally not the way of thinking of a pure devotee that I okay, quite a few of them.
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
I hear from a devotee, then a devotee will desire about moksha, his bhakti will destroy. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna force on getting moksha by he said param gatim, dukhalayam ashashvatam, not to come back, and Prabhupada also forced to back to Godhead. Then हम क्या माने मतलब why this contradiction?
There is no contradiction. Generally, mukti, for those who don't know about Krishna, means actually becoming completely detached from this material world. Mukti for most people means to merge into Brahman, isn't it? Brahma Bhuta Prasanatman Asotati Nekansati. Mukti means to be liberated from the miseries of the material world. But automatically, that is why we all need to read the Nectar of Devotion. In the very beginning of the Nectar of Devotion, it explains benefits of practicing bhakti. One of those benefits is that for someone who actually is fortunate to practice bhakti or devotional service, he considers mukti very secondary. In other words, actual mukti, liberation, is when we are fortunate to know about Krishna and develop our eternal relationship with Krishna in bhakti or in devotional service. So generally when people speak about mukti, they speak about being freed from the material entanglement, but that is not really the goal of life. Let's say yogis, they may be at that level that they totally understand that they are different from the body, and when one is situated on this mentality or understanding, aham brahmasmi, that I am spirit soul, then yes, they will be free from material distress. Nasojati nakantati, no hankering, no limitation. But that is temporary, because unless one awakens, in other words, real mukti, actual mukti, is not only liberated or freed from the material distress, but is in developing our original consciousness, our original relationship, isn't it? In bhakti and devotional service. And actually, it is only bhakti, in other words, it is only by knowing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we can develop this bhakti. That is the real meaning of bhakti rasa amrita sindhu. It establishes our eternal relationship with God as a person. So, in other words, there are two meanings to liberation. There are two meanings to bhakti. Um, just like there are two meanings different, there are three meanings, for example, to Ananda. What are the three levels of Ananda? No. Three levels of Ananda. One is material, or let's put it this way. What are the three levels of happiness? This will help us understand about this mukti aspect. This is also described, of course, in the Nectar Devotion. That's why it's so important. You need to begin reading the Nectar Devotion. So, Sri Rupa Goswami explains that the vast majority of people only know about and can only experience what is called material happiness. For most people, they only know about material happiness. But higher than material happiness is spiritual happiness, transcendental happiness, for which people endeavor in so many ways. And if they can attain this transcendental happiness, they consider themselves having attained mukti. But beyond transcendental happiness is devotional happiness. Devotional happiness is when one is successful in establishing his loving relationship. In other words, simply mukti, simply being freed from the material sufferings, is not real mukti, because our nature, constitutional nature, is to be engaged in loving relationship. So simply being freed from material distress is not bringing us the type of, it may temporarily be bringing some kind of, it's called Brahmananda, the Ananda of knowing that I am Brahman. So there is, like in material happiness, there is some happiness, but it is chapala sukha. It is very, very shallow, very temporary also. In Brahman realization, Brahmananda, there's also happiness. But in Premananda, Prema is only possible in the process of bhakti. So our acharyas describe what is the difference between Brahmananda and Premananda. It is like the difference between a drop of water and the ocean of water. So what is better, a drop of water? You cannot, a drop of water is insignificant, isn't it, compared to the ocean, vast ocean. So, so this topic, or this question of mukti or liberation, needs to be understood in its proper context. Yeah. So we are one who is fortunate to come in contact with the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, given, presented by someone who is actually a bhakta, a pure devotee, as Prabhupada would explain. You know, before Srila Prabhupada went to the Western countries, so many people went before him and spoke spoke also about Bhagavad Gita. Before Prabhupada translated his Bhagavad Gita, there were something like 700 editions of the Bhagavad Gita floating around. But practically none of these Bhagavad Gitas were presenting someone who was practicing pure devotional service. And most of the Bhagavad Gitas were not conveying, were not understanding the actual position of Krishna as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, that is why this whole knowledge of bhakti, which is declared in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself as the topmost yoga, unless one comes in contact with that type of yoga, that type of that pure bhakti, or that type of pure mukti, pure liberation, then one will be, one will not have attained the perfectional stage of life. Yeah, and to attain that pure level of bhakti, because it is, well, it is not so easy to achieve, but one who takes the effort to apply what is given by our Vaishnavacharyas, then that is open to such a person. Yeah. Yes?
Maharaj, I want to know that who are yogis, they are can change their previous their previous reaction of fruitive activities by their mystic power. Yes or no?
Those who are yogis today,
Yeah.
they are yogis because of previous mystic power.
Previous not mystic power. Previous reaction, fruitive activities.
Fruitive activities.
Yeah, they are change their fruitive reaction by their mystic power.
No, actually, fruitive reactions uh, to actually completely burn karmic reaction, that is only possible through bhakti. By performing pious activities, one can attain a better material situation. So, for example, if somebody is a yogi, then he has performed pious activities previously, isn't it? And this enables him to continue his path of mystic yoga. But the goal is actually to put an end to all kinds of karmic reaction, pious and impious, or pious and, let's say, sinful. That is what Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. There is karma, which is pious activities. Karma means following what is prescribed in the Shastra, although with a material motivation. So karma, then what is, those who don't follow what is prescribed in the Shastra, then they end up performing sinful activities, which is vikarma. And then those few and rare persons who are fortunate to know about bhakti, then they perform activities of what is called akarma, not, or naishkarma. Naishkarma, which is not creating any further karmic reaction. So in other words, those who are yogis, it's a very elevated, we could say, position, but it is still material. It is pious, and that still is binding. Therefore, statement bhukti mukti siddhi kami Sakale Ashanta. Yeah. Because they don't give the real uh, perfection of life. Krishna Bhakta Niskama Ataiva Shanta. Yeah. So we don't aspire to be mystic yogis. We automatically, devotees, they are the topmost yogis.
But Guru Maharaj, how can we understand that Harinam or devotional service burn out our previous karmas?
How to understand how Hari are
Devotional
karma?
service can only devotional service can burn out our
Yes,
previous.
well, this
How we understand?
how to understand, because pure devotional service, pure bhakti is non-different from Krishna. And when we are in the presence of Krishna, it's like Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Hai Andhakar. So when we are, the power of Krishna is such that it destroys. Only Krishna actually, and only therefore the process of bhakti can fully, completely uproot all karmic reaction. Because of the power of bhakti, which is non-different from Krishna. Bhakti means Krishna, pure bhakti, isn't it? Yeah. So when through the process we gradually rise from, let's say, mixed bhakti or impure bhakti or motivated bhakti, when we finally attain that level of pure bhakti, then everything is burnt. Means no more karmic reaction. Yeah. That is what we are endeavoring to practice and attain, because it is only when we are totally disconnected with karmic reaction, that means with the modes of material nature, that we can fully surrender and engage in Krishna's loving devotional service. Activities have started. Yeah. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Gaur Gopinath.